So you've just picked up your shiny new Wellhouse van, and now you want to know how it all works so you can have a great holiday. Well, that's what this video aims to show you. So let's take a closer look inside at some of the features of it. To raise the roof, the first thing you're going to want to do is open the side door. This allows air in. Then pull the strap through the catch body, leaving about 2 inches free at the end, and repeat on the other side. Then simply push the front of the roof skywards. You can also pull down the drop down bed once the roof is up. Before you lower the roof, the first thing you want to do is zip up any windows that are open. Make sure the stalk lights are flush and switched off. Yep, both off. And then pull the roof bed down. Make sure you've taken any bedding off it. It makes the roof sit too high, so all bedding needs to be removed. Once the roof bed's down, you can then grab the 2 handles and partially pull the roof down to about halfway. Holding one of the handles or the straps, pull in the sides and the front of the canvas. This avoids it being trapped in the struts and the scissor mechanism at the back. So it's very important to pull the canvas in. So pull the canvas in and then lower it down gently. Once it's down, I tend to bounce it on my head. Once it's down a certain bit, the thing to check is that the canvas doesn't sit near anything metal. So if it does sit near the catch, just push it in a bit. Before you latch the roof, go outside and just check nothing's pinched in the rubbers. So let's go and have a look at that now. So just have a look along here, check nothing is pinched, no bits of canvas are pinched, and just walk round the van and just check. So just check the canvas isn't pinched by the rubber. You might find it easier to open the driver's door and stand on the sill to check for pinched canvas. Once you've checked that the canvas isn't being pinched, then it's time to thread the straps through. And just thread them do like that and then pull them tight. And some people like to do a little knot in there as well. But that's personal preference. Then just tuck that out of the way so that it won't fall on the driver's head. And that's it. Do the same on the latch on this side. And that's it. You are good to go. To use the awning, the first thing to do is go and grab the winding handle. That's located in the back. And then open the passenger door and wind it out. It goes in this little slot here. Wind it out about a foot or so. Okay, once it's wound out a little bit, grab the legs and just pull them out, then drop the legs down, just lock them off. They pull out at the outer edge and then rotate down with the leg drop down. Undo this latch, slide the leg down to support the awning as it's wound out. Walk the legs out a little bit at a time. So wind the awning out a little bit. Ooh. Just rotate the leg so it's flat. And keep winding the awning out. Just wind it out until it goes a little bit slack. When it goes slack, just wind it in a little bit. It's nice and tensioned at the top. Now the next thing to check is the height. So adjust the legs for the height. And you want it up reasonably high. And before you do anything else, check the sliding door clears the struts. So, got plenty of clearance here, we're not going to have any issues. It's a good idea to have the awning on a slight angle because it prevents water from gathering in the centre bit if it's a rainy day, and it just helps it sheet off. So you've got shade on a sunny day and you've got shelter on a British summer. Whenever the awning's erected, you want to make sure that the legs are pegged in place. If you're on a grass pitch, if you're on hard standing, weight them down, and always use storm straps just to keep it safe. If it's really windy, wind your awning in, put it away. Have a look at the weather forecast before you get it out, and don't leave the van unattended with the awning out. It's best to pack it away if you're not near the vehicle. Right, let's show you how to put it away now. So first thing to do is just put the legs in a little tiny bit and just open the door. Insert the tool and wind it back in. So as before, just wind it a little bit at a time, and then as soon as the legs start to get a bit of an angle on them, leave that there. As soon as the legs get a bit of an angle on them, just pull them in a little bit more. And I'll just shut the sliding door, so that's out of the way. Bring it in a little bit more. Right, that'll do. Okay, at this point, we can put our legs away, angle them in, make sure they're latched into this catch, and then just clip them in place, and the same for this other leg. Locked in place and clicked in. There's 2 plastic clips per leg, make sure they're both attached, and then just carry on winding it back in until it latches neatly into the cassette housing. There we go. Pop it away in the back. When you get on a campsite, one of the first things you're going to want to do is plug into the mains hookup. So the first thing to do is grab your mains hookup cable. Now this one's come coiled up, but it's best to fully unwind them so there's no heating effect in the coils when they're in use. The cable has 2 ends. There's the male end and the female end, which is covered with a hatch. You want the female end to plug into your van, so lift up the hatch on the van, lift up this cover, and just plug it in place. So you plug into the van first, make sure your mains cable is fully unravelled, and then plug into your mains hookup point. Or you can plug into your home. You can get an adapter to the male end which allows you to plug into a regular 3-pin domestic socket. It's a good idea to keep your van charged up over winter. When you do get on campsite, first thing to do after you've plugged into the mains hookup is to switch on the mains power. To do this, you need to get the touch screen switched on. Touch anywhere on the screen and you'll see it will power up. That's the master power switch up there. As you can see, all the lights have come on. There's various controls for lights, water tanks, pumps, things like that. It's all accessed through there. Wellhouse set this up from the factory, so you don't have to worry too much about the settings. If you do want to know more about the settings, go and have a look at the separate video we have. There will be a link down below in the description. Everything in the van runs off 12 volt, so if you're not plugged into a mains hookup, you won't have power to this socket here or any of the other sockets in the vehicle. If you do want to have mains anywhere, then an inverter like this is an optional extra. This runs off your leisure batteries and allows you to have mains power anyway. A word of warning with the inverter though, if you're running high current items such as heaters, hair dryers, curling tongs, microwave ovens, it will take a lot of current out of the batteries, so it's best to use it sparingly or use it for low power items. To activate it, push that button on till it bleeps. These two sockets are now providing mains voltage so you can plug things into them. If you're thinking of using these for a fan heater, it's not a good idea. You're far better off using your diesel heater or plugging it into the socket next to the kitchen area so you're using mains hookup. Don't forget to switch it off when you finish using it. This solar charge controller charges both the leisure battery and the vehicle battery, but there aren't two battery connections here at the charge controller. That's because the power is split later on by the Sargent control panel. So don't worry about that if you see there's only 4 wires coming out of it. When you want to leave the campsite, always unplug from the mains hookup bollard or your domestic house supply first, then unplug from the van. So lift up the hatch, don't just pull the plug out, you need to lift up the little flap at the back of it and then it will release. If there's resistance, it's because this is still hooked on. As you can see, it's got a little tab on it that hooks over the back and stops it being pulled out. So always make sure that when you're removing it, lift up the flap, then pull it out. Okay. Coil up your cable neatly, or as neatly as you can. It's a bit cold today and they do get a bit stiff when it's cold. So you come back to the van, you've got an electrical problem. Where'd you look? Well, first thing to do is to have a look in this cupboard here. All your main circuit breakers and your 12-volt fuses are located in here. So that's the first place to look. The first thing to check is, do you have any power? And as you can see here, the green light is on, which tells us we've got mains power in. If that light isn't lit, it could be that you're not getting any power to your mains hookup cable. So check where you have it plugged into. Check that the RCD hasn't tripped on the mains hookup bollard at the campsite. And if you have it plugged into a socket in your house, that the socket is actually working. You can check your socket at home using a table lamp, radio, phone charger, whatever. Just make sure it works before you plug in your mains cable. The other thing that's worth being aware of is that there's an on-off switch here. Make sure it's pressed in. This controls all the 12-volt systems, so make sure that's pushed in as a first step. So we've got our charger on, that button's pushed in. What else could go wrong? Well, under here we have our RCD switches. Now the key thing here is that they're all in the up position and showing red in the little display. If they're tripped, they'll show green. You also want to check that the mains trip switch is working properly. So to test this, press it and that should trip out. If it doesn't trip out, there might be an issue and you need to contact Wellhouse. So check it trips out and that's working correctly. If you have had a problem with any of the electrics and one of these is in the down position, you'll see a 0 on top of it and a 1 underneath it. I don't know if you can see that. Just flip it back up again. If it keeps tripping out, have a look why. If you have a device plugged into that socket, unplug it. There may be a problem with your device. But all in the up position means everything's good for your mains system. Your fuses are for all the electrical systems on the van. Everything runs off 12-volt power in the van, from the heater, the fridge to the water pump, and all the fuses are on here. You'll see they're numbered at the bottom, 1 to 13, and they have various ratings written on the fuses. If any fuse ever goes, make sure it's replaced with one of identical rating. The fuse numbers correspond to a number in the handbook. You've also got some additional fuses here under this plastic cover. This easy to pull off plastic cover, there you go. And there's also a little socket there. That's a diagnostic point for your Eberspacher heater, so you don't have to worry about that. This charger has a little light on it to tell you it's working. So we're plugged into the mains at the moment, that's all working. We've got a green light on. We've got the system shutdown button pushed in, so everything is working as it should be. But if you do have any issues, check in this cupboard first and look for any issues. The other point to make is if this reverse polarity switch is lit up. This can sometimes happen when you're abroad on certain campsites where they have slightly different earthing regimes. If it does light up, it's not a big problem, but the key thing to remember is anything that's plugged into the main sockets, it's best to remove it when it's not in use, just from a safety point of view. It will work perfectly as normal, but it's just worth unplugging it if it's not in use. When you are on a mains hookup, there's a limit to how much power you can use depending on the power output of the hookup. In the UK, most are around 16 amps, which is fine for one high energy appliance such as a hairdryer or a fan heater, but don't use everything all together. When you're abroad, the hookups can be lower in current. 6 amps is quite common on many European campsites. So you might find they trip out your electrics. Again, all the electrics are in this cupboard here, so that's the first place to look if you do have any problems with the electrics. It's a good idea to keep it plugged into the mains over winter to avoid any issues with the electrical systems. Your leisure battery is recharged in 3 ways, either from the alternator when the engine's on, the mains hookup cable when you're plugged into the mains, or via the solar panel. Over winter, solar panels don't deliver as much output, so it's always a good idea to keep the vehicle plugged into the mains when it's not in use. This avoids any electrical issues. All electrical issues tend to be caused by low battery voltage, so the first thing to do is plug it into the mains and charge up your leisure battery. Before you do anything else, keep it on charge for a good couple of hours and then check to see if everything's working okay. If everything's working fine, that was your culprit. Many of the newer vans come with an LPG system fitted as standard. To refill them, you need to remove this cap. It's a simple bayonet fitting to expose the brass connection point beneath. Any petrol station with an LPG fill point can be used in the UK, and it can also be used abroad. You need to get a set of adapters that screw into this threaded section in the centre, but it can be used across most of Europe wherever they sell LPG. Saves you having to lug gas bottles about, it's a great idea, or messing about with different regulators. If you need to access the gas bottle itself, you'll find it in this locker here. So this is your refillable Gaslow bottle. Don't keep anything else in your gas locker. You don't want to block the dropout vents at the bottom. It's a sealed locker. If you need to access the tap, you can unscrew this end panel and just turn it on here. So that turns on your gas. So when you get on a campsite, that's all you need to do. Gas is now on and flowing. To switch it off, you turn it clockwise. Turn it off when you leave the campsite. To drain the wastewater tank, simply open the tap over a suitable container. And similarly, if you want to drain the freshwater tank down, just open the tap and let the water run out. The spare wheel is located under the rear of the van behind the back axle, and the tools are under the driver's seat. Tyre pressures can be found on the door jamb if you open the driver's door. When you are ready to drive off, it's a good idea to run through a bit of a checklist before you get going. So the first thing to check it's off the levelling blocks, check you're unplugged from the mains hookup, make sure the roof's down. Yeah, roof's down, made that mistake before. And also make sure your seat mechanism is securely latched in place. The fridge wants to be latched, and make sure the lids are down on the gas and hob cover, and also all locker doors are latched securely shut. Also switch off your gas. You want to drive on the road with the gas switched off. The electric step, you want to make sure that's retracted. I think it retracts on ignition on this car anyway. Obviously you want to make sure your blinds and curtains are all open, that goes without saying. And also that the rear travel seat is latched in place so it can't slide forward. You also want to check that the chemical loo is emptied. Empty it at the campsite, that's the best place for it, and make sure it's in its locker. You might also want to drain down your water tanks before you leave. Remember that wastewater can only go into a proper drain point. You need to be aware of the height, length and width of your vehicle. It's a good idea to print it out and keep it on a laminated sheet together with the weights unladen and laden, just in case there's any height restrictions or barriers or bridges with a weight limit. You can secure it under the sun visor, there's a little handy strap there, or put it anywhere handy in the cab, but it's a good idea to have it close to hand, just in case you forget how tall your vehicle is. You don't want to be scraping the roof off on a low barrier. Over the years, Wellhouse have got a wealth of knowledge on how best to look after their vans. So here's a few tips and tricks to help you get the most out of your ownership experience. In terms of maintenance, it's a good idea to make sure your step's always kept clean. So get a soft wipe, tissue, cloth, and just make sure all the grooves are clear of grit and dirt. And also check the sides and underneath. It slides back into this cassette here, so you don't want any grit or dirt gumming up the mechanism. So look after your step. It's a good idea to get into the habit of swivelling your seats every now and again, just to stop the mechanism getting a bit sticky. So to do that, first thing to do is move your table out of the way. You wouldn't normally have it slid that far out, but I'll just do it so it's not in the way. Pull the latch, and then just rotate the seat, just making sure it doesn't catch on any bit of trim or the driver's door. So yeah, just do that. So just do that and it'll keep it running smoothly. It's always best to put the roof away when it's dry. If you've had to put it away when it's wet, put it up again when you get back home, let it dry out, then pop it back down again. In terms of maintenance, you want to check there's no leaf mulch, dirt or debris around the edge of the roof of the van where the rubber lip seals down. Just keep it clear of muck, dirt and debris. Give it a wipe with a damp sponge if there is any dirt or debris in there. The canvas itself is pretty maintenance free. The only thing to check is when you're pulling the roof down, check it doesn't foul on the struts or the mechanism. Pull in the sides as the roof is being pulled down. The fabric itself, it's a good idea to treat the outside of it with something like Fabsil to waterproof it about once a year or so. Again, speak to Wellhouse if you've got any doubts about doing that. If you are treating it, make sure you cover up the mesh and the vinyl window at the front so you don't get any spray on that. Other than that, they're pretty easy to look after. Most Wellhouse models have a solar panel. Key thing here is don't jet wash it or brush it, just clean it with a sponge or a wash mitt, and don't use any detergents or harsh chemicals on it. Just water's absolutely fine, and just keep it clean with something non-abrasive. You also might want to get some step ladders. One thing that's worth mentioning, particularly if the van's not in use, is that every time you press the key fob to unlock the van, it powers up the vehicle systems. The engine thinks it's about to start, so it gets ready to run. It also switches on the interior lights. So it's a good idea to switch off the interior lights. There's one in the cab, there's one in the boot area. If the vehicle hasn't been used for 10 days or so, it's worth taking it out for a run so that the alternator can recharge the vehicle battery, or plug it into a mains hookup for a bit so that some power can trickle through to the vehicle battery. In winter, the solar panel won't be putting out as much charge as in summer, so it's a good idea to plug it into a mains hookup every now and again. For the fridge, it's best to remove any food from it over winter, Switch it off, either at the thermostat or on the switch, and set the catch to the vent position to allow airflow. To avoid any issues with frost, drain down your wastewater tank and your freshwater tank and leave any taps in the open position and the pump switched off.